BioLab is one of the bigger employers in the community. So they employ a lot of people, and they've also had 2 other fires. So here's some questions. Why after 2 fires weren't they shut down, or at least had to show that they, remedied whatever was causing these fires? They say this was caused by a water sprinkler malfunction.
Yes.
Seems a little far-fetched to me.
Yeah.
And why, when they say they're working with the BioLab, this is like the EPA is working with Norfolk Southern. Well, Norfolk Southern is the one that crashed the trains and then unnecessarily detonated the chemicals. So why are you working with, why is the company even involved? The government needs to step in and take over here. What are your thoughts?
I think they should shut it down, and it shouldn't have been allowed to be operated this close to this many people. I mean, it's right by Old Town Conyers. And it jeopardizes a lot of people.
Hey, look,
I understand Kenny Johnson. Kenny Johnson, the man who passed away, has been jumping up and down since the previous fire 4 years ago in warning about this. That man is really a hero and for what he was doing, and it's just so tragic that the world lost him.
I do fire alarms for a living, and there's no reason they have a wet sprinkler system in that building when it should be an Ansel system when it's a dry system. Why do they have water coming out of that system when it should be a dry Ansel system? Do you put water over a grease fire? No. It's the same basic. It's not rocket science.
Thank you. I want to ask, we're going to get, no problem. We're going to get to Kenny, but let me ask you, because we're getting the view from right at ground zero, but you're a little further away, and it doesn't, Fatih, it doesn't sound like you guys are getting much communication from your county or government officials either.
So I wanted to jump in because they're basically making it seem like this is only an issue in Conyers, and that nothing has happened besides a smell. They're saying that there's a smell of chlorine and that there's maybe a slight haze. And I know for a fact that it's not just limited to a smell, that it's actually impacting people, because it's impacted me, and I'm south of the city. And then additionally, all of the PSAs and the information that's coming out from Fulton County is downplaying it, is minimizing it, and all of the concerns about what about all of the sensitive people, because every single night the AQI in our city is moderate. It's in the upper 60s and 70s, and it's like causing people to have, like people like me, to have reactions. And they're saying that it's just a sensitive group, that it's a small number of people. Well, there are millions of people who are disabled. There are millions of people who are in this sensitive group. What about all the elderly? What about the children? What about the animals outside? Not even just the animals inside. People have been seeing birds falling down, dying, squirrels falling out of trees.
There's been very dead beehives. There's been, I saw somebody posted a video where there was no sounds in the forest.
Yes, just nothing. Every single, like, the lack of cicadas is terrifying. Like, I feel like I'm in a dystopian movie, and nobody's paying attention. Like, me and my partner, we have these, and whenever we go out, we're wearing them, but nobody else is, and they have no idea that they are just like inhaling all of these toxic chemicals that will cause who even knows what.
And Scott, I wanna mention, Scott, when she says that they're telling her and her community, you're about what, 20 minutes from where this happened?
Yeah, 30.
Okay. So when they're telling them, oh no, it's just a smell, but it doesn't affect you. Number one, it's not like the chlorine gas stops at the city limit of Conyers.
Right.
So this is the absurd stuff they were saying with East Palestine. Oh, a 1 mile evacuation radius. Like, it doesn't, like, that plume just stopped at the city limit and there's like a magical invisible wall. And number two, these people, these government officials that are communicating this have zero expertise in any of this to be saying that. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely right. And what you're seeing is a commonality. It's called corporate capture. The billion-dollar company controls the narrative and everyone else toes the line because, whether they have a direct financial interest or indirect financial interest, that's what needs to be stopped. But, this is why independent journalists like yourself and communities coming together, the court of public opinion is ultimately going to win. And we'll get to the fact about these plaintiffs' attorneys. And in East Palestine, I'd encourage all of you in Conyers to talk to some of these residents in East Palestine because the judge was complicit with the plaintiffs' attorneys. It's the system. It's not political. There's a lot of stuff you saw in East Palestine would happen no matter who's president, but the system needs to be exposed, and it's being exposed.
That's exactly what Kenny said in his YouTube videos. That's exactly what Kenny Johnson said in his videos. That it's systemic. It's the system.
And also, they also told us that in the evacuation zone, if you had open food, any kind of open cereal, open sugar, or anything, throw everything away. It is contaminated. Dog food, everything, it's contaminated. So if it contaminate that inside your home, what is it doing outside?
Very true. I want to bring up, I want to play this video because we've mentioned Mr. Johnson a few times. To be clear, I have no idea what he died of, but the timing is very interesting. So Kenny Johnson was the water and soil official. I don't know the exact title, but he was soil and water supervisor in this area. And apparently he was one of the only elected officials, kicking and screaming about this BioLab for years. And just the other day, he called for a federal investigation. While he was speaking, you could kind of see that he was having some trouble breathing. And he, I believe, very shortly after this, died. They are doing an autopsy. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but I'm not sure I trust if the county is doing it. But we'll see what that comes up with. But let's show that, Colin, one of his last words. The video. It's that tweet. Kenny Johnson has been begging for something.
Mr. State Representative Conservation. I'm the first black man to be elected to this position since 1937, since the creation of soil and water. I worked in the field like this before, and catch my breath. But this company is called a COD. What I mean is, there's a chemical oxidant demand. They treat their own water, and the chemicals that they keep on property, sulfuric acid, MIBK, that will kill you. Everybody in Rockville County needs to go to the doctor and check out the blood for toxins. Please get that out. They used to send me out every time, at least every other month. So, please. Next thing is, I asked for a federal criminal investigation. This is not the first time. This is the second time. I've been asking for this 3 weeks ago to Senator Alsop, Senator Warnock, and Congressman Hank Johnson. All the officers said they were going to do an inquiry and have the DOJ get involved. I had the HOA on the phone calls with me. 3 weeks later, okay. 3 weeks later, what we have? Fire. But they say it's an accident. Where's the MSDS? Yes. Where's the material safety data sheet? Where's the layout of the company? Why the chemicals wasn't stored in a dry place? Why they didn't call out foam truck like they did in 2004? But they put water on the chemical that reacts. How are we going to solve this? We need a federal criminal investigation. EPA Region 4 is the worst.
So I don't know if any of you noticed, but it did seem to me like he was having some breathing issues while he was speaking. I don't know what health issues he had, so obviously we can't connect the dots. I don't know if him dying very quickly after that has anything to do with this chlorine gas. With that said, he obviously was speaking out and he just dropped dead. They're doing an autopsy under the circumstances to see what he died of, and we'll have to follow that. But again, you know, in all of these cases, you can't have the companies handling the emergency response. In this case, I don't really think you could have the county coroner be doing the autopsy, because the county is the one that seems to have given sweetheart deals and looked the other way for this BioLab to continually recklessly endanger the public. So I think there needs to be an independent autopsy. So again, no speculation. We'll just have to see what it says. But you all seem to respond that you knew Kenny and that he was speaking out. So what does it say to you that he's calling for a federal investigation? Now he's tragically died. Are any other politicians there speaking like Kenny was?
Not that I know of.
No, I mean, I listened to that in full, and I also listened. So that was at the Capitol. There was at the same time that was happening. We had Oz Nesbitt, which is our chairman, and some of the commissioners speaking at the county level. And no one else is speaking to these things in either of them or in any news report I can find. I called our senators. I called all of these numbers, and we've been asking as a community to get federal involvement in this. And it's, we're looking into it, but they haven't set foot in Conyers, to my knowledge. They're not here on the ground, that's for sure. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for context, it's 10 years later and the EPA has still not admitted guilt in the poisoning of Flint, and they still haven't settled with the residents of Flint. So I'm not saying everyone's bad at the EPA. Both Scott and I have talked to people at the EPA are good, but at the top, there seems to be a couple rotten apples, shall we say. But Scott, at the end of the day, all of these cities, towns, there's a different inciting incident that causes it. But afterwards, it seems to be the same exact playbook. And I have questions. Number one, what was the relationship and dynamic between the local Rockdale County and this lab? I want to see the emails. I want to see meeting notes if there were. And I want to see, after these two fires, what were they ordered to do to remediate whatever was causing the fires? It sounds very suspect to me that all of this happened just from a water sprinkler that malfunctioned. By the way, this happened right after Hurricane Helene. The last fire at this lab happened right after a hurricane. So go ahead.
Yeah, here are the key questions are: who really owned the building? What is the extent of the involvement between, I think you call your elected officials commissioners. Everyone, you need to ask questions of everybody and why nothing was done. Where were your elected officials? Even your U.S. senators. And to go to the system. In Ohio, you have a Republican senator, Democratic senator. The result was the same. And follow the money. If you follow the money, you will get the answers. But I understand there's an issue over that the town may own the building and some of the commissioners may be involved. I don't know, but those should be easy questions to answer.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So I did some research into Kenny Johnson's work, and he has a YouTube channel where he has recorded the meetings that he's done about these exact things, and he's posted them on his YouTube channel, and he speaks out about the fact that there has been, he doesn't use the word conspiracy, he doesn't use conspiring, but there has been an organized effort to get him out of his role and his position, because of the fact that he was the only thing standing in the way of corporate interests just doing whatever they wanted with Rockdale County and making these people's homes just a mess. He speaks out on it. He has pictures. He names names. He says, he shows all the documents and the emails. And it's very clear in his speaking that he was on his way towards taking this to federal court. And then suddenly We don't know why. We don't know what happened to Kenny, but it's very suspicious, I will say the least.